Picture this. A quiet evening shattered by the clink of a glass hitting the floor, the sound echoing like a gunshot through my suburban home just outside of Chicago. That's where I'm standing right now, in the aftermath of last night, my heart still pounding as I try to piece together how things unraveled so fast. My name is Emily, I'm 29, and I've been married to Ryan for 5 years. He's 32, a sales manager who's always chasing the next deal, the next promotion, the next reason to stay late at the office. We've built a life here in this modest little house with its creaky floors and mismatched furniture, a place that once felt like a sanctuary, but now sometimes feels like a cage. I work part-time as a graphic designer, hunched over my laptop in our cramped spare room, crafting logos and layouts while the world outside moves on without me. Ryan and we used to be fire and sparks, the kind of couple who couldn't keep their hands off each other, stealing heated moments in the kitchen or sneaking away for late-night drives with no destination in mind. We'd laugh over nothing, share secrets under the covers, and dream about a future so bright it almost hurt to think about. But over the past year, that fire has dimmed. His work stress has become a third person in our marriage, an uninvited guest that sits between us at the dinner table. He's always on edge, snapping over small things, and I've started to feel like I'm fading into the background, undervalued, unseen. My designs, my thoughts, my needs, they don't seem to register with him anymore. We've had our share of arguments, heated words thrown like daggers in the privacy of our home. But nothing, absolutely nothing, compares to what happened last night. It wasn't just a fight. It was a public unraveling, a moment of raw humiliation that I can't shake from my mind. I can still feel the heat in my cheeks, the way my voice trembled, the way every eye in the room turned to me. And there were witnesses. Ryan's friends, the guys he's always hanging out with, who saw it all go down. Let me tell you about them, because they're part of this mess, whether I like it or not. First, there's Jake, 30 years old, a gym buddy of Ryan's who's all muscle and bravado. He's loud, the kind of guy who fills a room with his booming voice and crude jokes, always pushing boundaries just to see how far he can go. Then there's Mark, 31, an accountant who's the complete opposite, quiet, reserved, almost invisible until you notice the way he watches everything with those sharp, calculating eyes. Ethan, 29, is Ryan's co-worker, charming to a fault, with a smile that could melt ice, and a flirtatious streak that makes me uneasy, especially when he turns it on me. And finally, there's Tyler, Ryan's childhood friend, also. Let me take you back to last night, before everything spiraled out of control. It started like any other evening in our little house just outside Chicago. I was in the kitchen, hunched over my laptop, putting the final touches on a design project for a client. The soft glow of the screen was my only company, the hum of the fridge a quiet backdrop to my focus. I was lost in my work, tweaking colors and adjusting fonts, when I heard the front door slam shut. My heart did a little dip. Ryan was home. I glanced at the clock. It was just past 6 p.m. I could tell from the heavy thud of his boots on the hardwood floor that he wasn't in a good mood. He didn't even look my way as he tossed his jacket over a chair and muttered something about a rough day at the office. I offered a small, "Hey, how was work?" But all I got was a grunt in return before he disappeared into the bedroom to change. I tried not to let it sting, telling myself he just needed space to decompress. But then, as I was saving my project, he came back into the kitchen, loosening his tie, and dropped a bombshell without even meeting my eyes. "By the way, the guys are coming over tonight. Basketball game. Just a heads up." No question, no consideration, just a statement, like I didn't have a say in my own home. Jake, Mark, Ethan, and Tyler, his usual crew, were apparently on their way, and I was expected to roll with it. I felt a flicker of irritation flare up in my chest, but I bit my tongue. What was the point of arguing? It wouldn't change anything. So I just nodded, closed my laptop, and decided to make myself useful instead of invisible. I moved to the living room, picking up stray magazines and fluffing the couch cushions, trying to make the space look less like a chaotic mess. Then I headed back to the kitchen to throw together some snacks for them. Nothing fancy, just a quick cheese platter with some crackers and a bowl of chips. I figured I'd do my part and then retreat to the spare room to give them their space. By 7 p.m., the doorbell rang, and the house was suddenly flooded with noise. Jake's booming laugh hit me first as he barreled through the door, followed by Mark's quieter greeting, Ethan's smooth, "Hey, Emily," that lingered just a bit too long, and Tyler's sharp whistle as he took in the spread on the coffee table. They cracked open beers before they even sat down, sprawling across our couch like they owned the place, the TV blaring with pre-game commentary. Jake, true to form, couldn't resist a jab. He picked up a piece of cheese, holding it up like it was some kind of artifact, and grinned at me. "What's this, Em? You trying to class us up with your fancy snacks?" I forced a smile, shrugging it off, but I could feel my cheeks warm as I stood there in the living room, trying to play the good host, despite the tension simmering under my skin. I was about to slip away to let Ryan and his friends have their night, when everything exploded in a way I never saw coming. I was just passing by the couch, carrying an empty chip bowl back to the kitchen, when Ryan's voice cut through the noise of the basketball game on TV. It wasn't a casual comment or a playful jab. It was sharp, cold, and meant to wound. "You know, Emily, maybe if you weren't so lazy, this place wouldn't look like a dump all the time. You're not pulling your weight around here." His words hit me like a slap, right there in the middle of the living room, with all his friends watching. I froze, the bowl nearly slipping from my hands, my chest tightening as the air seemed to suck out of the room. Lazy? Me? I've been juggling my design work, late nights on deadlines, while still making sure there's food on the table and the bills are paid on time. And he has the nerve to say this. In front of everyone? The humiliation burned through me, hot and bitter, as I felt every pair of eyes on me. Jake's loud chatter stopped mid-sentence. Mark looked down at his beer bottle like it was the most interesting thing in the world, and Ethan shifted uncomfortably in his seat. But Tyler had this smirk on his face, like he was enjoying the show, like my pain was just another layer of entertainment for the night. I could feel the heat rising to my face, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. I turned to Ryan, my voice trembling with a mix of hurt and fury. "Are you serious right now? I've been doing everything I can, Ryan. Everything. And you're going to call me out like this, in front of your friends?" I wanted him to see how much he'd hurt me, to take it back, to show some shred of regret. But instead, he doubled down, his face twisting with irritation as he raised his voice even louder. "Don't make a scene, Emily. You're embarrassing me in front of everyone. Just stop." That was it. That word, embarrassing, cut deeper than anything else. I couldn't stand there another second, couldn't bear the weight of their stares or the smugness in Tyler's grin. Tears stung my eyes, blurring my vision as anger and shame choked me. I spun on my heel, storming out of the living room, my footsteps heavy on the hardwood floor, as I headed down the hall toward the guest bedroom. I needed to get away, to lock myself somewhere safe where I could breathe, where I could let the tears fall without an audience. My hands were shaking as I reached for the doorknob, the sound of the TV and the guys' muted voices fading behind me. But then I heard something else. Footsteps, quick and purposeful, following me down the hall. My heart skipped, thinking it was Ryan coming to drag me back or yell some more. I didn't turn around, didn't want to face him, but as I pushed the door open, I heard Jake's low mutter, "He's out of line, man," followed by Mark's quieter agreement, "Yeah, let's give him space to cool off." I stumbled into the room, my mind reeling with confusion, and before I could process what was happening, all four of them, Jake, Mark, Ethan, and Tyler, were inside with me. I slammed the door shut and fumbled with the lock, my breath hitching as I realized they were all standing there, on my side of the barrier, while Ryan's voice boomed from the hallway. "Emily, open the damn door. Stop being so dramatic." He pounded on the wood, each thud vibrating through me, but I couldn't move, couldn't think straight. The room felt too small, the air thick with tension, as I leaned against the wall, my hands pressed to my face, trying to hold back the sobs threatening to break free. I was shaking, a mess of anger and humiliation, and I didn't know why they... Here I am, standing in this cramped guest bedroom, the air so heavy it feels like it's pressing down on my chest. The lock on the door is clicked shut, a flimsy barrier between me and the storm of Ryan's anger outside. But what just happened in here has shattered something inside me far worse than any argument could. The silence that follows is suffocating, a stark contrast to the chaos of moments ago. I can barely look at Ethan, whose eyes are locked on mine with a mix of shock and something deeper, something I can't, or don't want to, name. My lips still tingle from the impulsive, reckless moment we shared, a fleeting clash of heat and anger that I never meant to let happen. My heart is a wild drum in my chest, each beat screaming at me for what I've done. Jake breaks the quiet with a low mutter, his voice rough as he leans against the wall, arms crossed. "This is messed up, Em. Seriously." His words sting, not because they're wrong, but because they're so painfully right. Mark won't even meet my gaze, his head turned toward the window like he's pretending to study the curtains, his discomfort radiating off him in waves. And then there's Tyler, letting out a slow, deliberate whistle, the sound cutting through the tension like a knife. It's not a cheer or a jeer, just this mocking little noise that twists my stomach into knots of shame. I can feel the heat creeping up my neck, burning my cheeks as I wrap my arms around myself, wishing I could disappear into the faded wallpaper. My mind is a tornado, spinning with thoughts I can't control. How did I let it come to this? I was so angry, so raw from Ryan's words in the living room, from the way he tore me down in front of everyone, that I just snapped. I wanted to hurt him back, to feel something other than the ache of being invisible. But this wasn't the answer. I've crossed a line I can't uncross, betrayed Ryan in a way that makes my chest tighten with guilt. If he finds out, if he even suspects what happened in this room, I don't know if our marriage can survive it. The thought of his face, the pain or rage that might flash across it, makes me feel sick. I've made a mess of everything. And for what? A moment of weakness? A desperate grab for control? From the hallway, Ryan's voice pulls me out of my spiraling thoughts. It's different now, not the sharp, demanding tone from before. There's a crack in it, a raw edge of desperation as he presses against the door. "Emily, please, open the door. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean to hurt you. I was an idiot. Just let me in." Each word is a punch to my already bruised heart. I can hear the regret, the plea, and it tears me in two. Part of me aches to fling the door open, to fall into his arms and pretend none of this ever happened, to let his apology wash away the hurt. But another part of me, the part still stinging from his public humiliation, clings to the resentment like a lifeline. He hurt me first, didn't he? He made me feel small, worthless, in front of everyone. Does that justify what I've done? No. I know it doesn't. But the conflict rages inside me, guilt and anger battling for dominance as I stand frozen, my hand hovering near the lock but not daring to touch it. I turn to the guys, my voice barely above a whisper, cracking under the weight of my emotions. Please, don't say anything. Not to Ryan, not to anyone. I don't know what came over me. I stop, choking on the words, my eyes darting between them, pleading for some kind of mercy. Ethan steps closer, his expression softening, though there's a firmness in his tone that grounds me. "I won't say a word, Emily. You've got my promise on that." His words are a small relief, a lifeline in this drowning moment, but I can't ignore the skeptical glance Jake shoots. My hand trembles as it finally grips the lock, the cold metal a stark contrast to the heat of my skin. I take a deep breath, the air catching in my throat, and with a slow, deliberate twist, the door clicks open. It swings inward, revealing Ryan standing there in the hallway, his broad frame filling the space. His face is a storm of emotions. Anger tightens his jaw, confusion furrows his brow. But there's worry too, flickering in his hazel eyes as they lock onto mine. My stomach twists, a sickening mix of guilt and fear churning inside me. He looks past me for a split second, his gaze darting to his friends standing awkwardly behind me in the guest bedroom, as if he's searching for some hidden truth in their expressions. "What the hell, Emily?" His voice is rough, edged with frustration as he steps closer. "Why have you had me locked out for so long? What's going on in there?" I feel my composure crumbling, like a sandcastle under a crashing wave. My voice comes out shaky, barely holding together as I force the words past the lump in my throat. I needed space, Ryan. After what you said out there, how you made me feel, I couldn't handle it. I can't meet his eyes, not with the weight of what I've done pressing down on me. I stare at the scuffed hardwood floor instead, my hands fidgeting at my sides, hoping he doesn't see the guilt written all over me. Behind me, Ethan clears his throat, his tone casual but forced, like he's reading from a script. "We were just talking her down, man. She was pretty upset." Jake mutters something under his breath, barely audible, about not wanting to get caught up in what he calls a domestic spat, his voice dripping with discomfort as he shifts his weight from one foot to the other. Ryan's not buying it. Not completely. I can feel his suspicion like a physical thing, sharp and piercing. His eyes narrow as he studies me, taking in every detail, the way my shoulders are hunched, the slight quiver in my lip. "Why do you look so shaken up, Em?" he asks, his voice dropping lower, almost a growl. My heart stops, a cold sweat breaking out on the back of my neck. Does he know? Can he sense it somehow? The secret I'm carrying? The betrayal that's still burning through my veins? I'm terrified, frozen in place, my mind racing for a way out of this moment before it unravels everything. I can't let him dig deeper, can't let him see the cracks in my facade. Desperation claws at me, and I do the only thing I can think of. I turn it back on him. My voice rises, sharp and jagged, fueled by the hurt that's still raw from earlier. "Why do I look shaken? Are you kidding me, Ryan? You humiliated me out there in front of everyone. You called me lazy, made me feel like nothing, like I don't matter in my own home. How am I supposed to look after that?" My words hit their mark. I see the flicker of shame cross his face, his mouth opening to respond, but then closing again as he struggles to find a defense. The argument shifts, the focus moving away from the locked room and what might have happened inside it. His shoulders slump slightly, and he runs a hand through his hair, frustration etching deeper lines into his face. "I didn't mean it like that, okay? I was stressed. I snapped. I'm sorry. But you can't just shut me out like this." I don't respond right away, letting the silence hang heavy between us. My chest aches, not just from the fight we're having now, but from the weight of what I'm hiding. I've dodged the truth for the moment, but at what cost? As our voices lower, the tension in the hallway shifts, and I notice movement behind me. One by one, Ryan's friends start to filter out of the room, their presence no longer a shield or a burden. Mark slips past first, his eyes avoiding mine as he mumbles a quick goodbye to Ryan. "Tyler, it's been days since that night, and I'm still walking on eggshells in my own home, every creak of the floorboards sounding like a warning. I can't shake the memory of what happened behind that locked door, the reckless heat of a moment that's branded itself into my soul. Ryan and I were like ghosts haunting the same space, drifting past each other with barely a word. We don't talk about the argument in the living room, the way he cut me down in front of everyone, or the way I shut myself away with his friends. It's like we've silently agreed to bury it, but the weight of what I'm hiding presses down on me every second, making it hard to breathe. I catch him looking at me sometimes, his hazel eyes searching for something I'm terrified he'll find. And I have to turn away before the guilt spills out of me like a broken dam. The days after were a blur of forced normalcy. I'd sit at my laptop pretending to work on designs, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying every second of that night. Ryan would come home from the office, mutter a tired hello, and disappear into the bedroom or plop down in front of the TV. We'd eat dinner in near silence, the clink of forks against plates louder than any conversation. I keep waiting for him to bring it up, to demand answers about why I looked so rattled when I finally opened that door, but he doesn't. Maybe he's afraid of what he'll hear, or maybe he's just as lost as I am. Either way, the unspoken tension is a third presence at our table, heavier than ever. Every time my phone buzzes, my heart leaps into my throat. I'm paralyzed with fear that it's one of the guys, especially Tyler, with that sly, amused smirk he wore as he watched the chaos unfold. What if he decides to let slip what he saw, what he knows? I can still hear that slow whistle of his, sharp and mocking, cutting through the thick air of the guest bedroom. I check my messages with trembling fingers, expecting to see a text that could shatter everything. So far, it's just client emails or spam, but the paranoia gnaws at me, a constant shadow. I've started keeping my phone on silent, tucked away in my pocket, as if that could somehow shield me from the inevitable. I'm a mess of emotions, tangled up in a knot I can't unravel. There's guilt, of course, a deep, gnawing ache for betraying Ryan in a way I never thought I was capable of. What I did in that room, in a fleeting moment of weakness, it's a scar on my conscience I can't erase. But there's also anger, still simmering beneath the surface, for how he made me feel that night, small, worthless, invisible in front of an audience. His words sliced through me, and part of me wonders if that pain pushed me to do something so reckless, as if I could reclaim some piece of myself by striking back in the worst way. And then, there's this strange, unsettling sense of empowerment, a whisper in my mind that I took control, even if it was wrong. For once, I wasn't just the fading background of our marriage. I made a choice, however terrible. It's a twisted kind of strength, and I hate that it feels like a secret victory. About a week after that night, Ryan made an effort to bridge the gap between us. He came home early one evening, a rare occurrence, and suggested we go out for dinner at this little Italian place we used to love, back when things were easier. I could see the hope in his eyes as he stood in the kitchen, loosening his tie, his voice softer than it had been in weeks. "Let's start over, Em. I know I messed up, and I'm sorry. I want to work on us, on how we talk to each other. Please, just give me a chance to make it right." His words were earnest, raw even, and I wanted so badly to believe them, to let them wash away the hurt and the secret I'm carrying. We sat across from each other at the restaurant. Candle. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.